Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romaine, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. Welcome to Clean Plates, where every bite tells a story. I'm Brian Romaine, joining you on a culinary journey to understand the whys behind our diets and desires. Joining me today is Dr. Rani Thanacoody. Rani, how are you doing today?
Hi, Brian. I am doing really well, and I have been waiting for that time to spend it with you and your audience. So thank you so much. I'm very grateful to be here and very, very excited to talk to you and your audience. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining me all the way in the UK. Where exactly can you tell everybody that you're at in the UK without, giving away your full address?
Yes. I am located in Nottingham, which is called the East Midlands. So it's located, Nottingham is located on the East Midlands part of the UK, which is about in the middle. For people who don't know, so it's about in the middle of the UK. That's where it is. Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, for example, it's 10:30 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado, and it's 5:30 p.m. all the way in where you're at in the UK.
That's correct. Yes.
So for everybody out there, Dr. Rani is a dynamic individual. She combines her expertises being a full-time academic in the fields of HRM and organizational behavior in the UK. She's got a big passion for holistics in healing and personal development. But alongside her academic career, she is multifaceted as a practitioner, offering a range of transformative modalities to support her clients in overcoming trauma and purposeful lives. So walk me through and my audience a little bit of your day-to-day with just your work in general.
Right. So I spend 6-7 hours in my teaching job, whether doing admin job, whether seeing the students, doing research and teaching. And after my working hours in the afternoon, after 5 o'clock, that's when I would see clients and I would help them with different modalities. And at the same time, I do the interviews of speakers for my podcast, which is called Amazing You by Dr. Rani Thanacoody. So that's a working day. It goes up until, and then I stay a bit overnight to do the work on myself, after having worked with the clients and done all the work at uni. So I work on myself before going to bed, but I do that as well in the morning when I get up.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, it's a good explanation just to give everybody kind of a basis of what you do and your career. But today we are here to talk about food. So
okay.
we are going to dive right into that. So tell me a little bit more about where you grew up and how, because we've talked about this before, but I want you to explain to everybody exactly about where you grew up and how you got to the UK in the first place.
Yes, thank you for giving me that opportunity to share that, Brian. So where I grew up, it's a very remote island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So I'm just explaining so that your audience would get to know where it is, because so many people don't know where Mauritius is. And it used to belong to so it had a very beautiful history where there were people from various countries who came to settle there. You had the Dutch, the Portuguese, then the British and the French and the British. And I am born there in that beautiful tropical island with beautiful white beaches and turquoise seawater.
And can you pronounce to everybody one more time of how your homeland is pronounced?
Yes, it is called Mauritius, So it is named after a Dutch prince.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, please continue.
Thank you. And so I did my undergraduate in Mauritius. I did a bachelor in social work. I was always interested in helping people. So after doing my bachelor in social work, I say I wanted to do a bit of management, but still staying in the people area. And that's when I went to Australia. I did a master in human resource management, which is about managing people in the workplace. So I did that in Brisbane. Then I came back to my country, work a few years. Then I say, no, I still want to do that PhD. So I went back. I got a scholarship to go and do my PhD in Australia, in Melbourne, for 4 years. And I love every moment of my time in Australia. And then I got my first academic position in China. Yes, and I taught in English for the University of Nottingham that I am working now. And after having that wonderful experience as an expatriate there, I say I would still like to come to the UK. And that was a dream, to work for the University of Nottingham. And here I am. I've been working in that university in the UK for 7 years, nearly 7 years now. So it's a dream coming true. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Just to give everybody a perspective of where you've come from and where you've been. So growing up, what was your food intake like? What was meals based around? And how did that work growing up on an island such as you did?
Yes, thank you, Brian. That's a great question. I never had a great relationship with food, to let you know. And I never liked eating as a child, Brian, because I had a lot of childhood traumas. And when we hold trauma in the body, it impacts all our nervous system and it impacts what we eat as well. So as a child, I was very skinny. And I never liked food. I was always throwing out. I was very, very difficult to feed. And
Interesting.
yes. and it is, and as I grew up, also I had that, I would say, that tendency to always, because of, though food is a very important part of the country, but because we are very multicultural, so we know every ethnic group, because in Mauritius, there's 90% of the population is Hindu, but there are Chinese, white, there are Africans. So we are very diverse. So each ethnic group, we know how to cook each other's dishes. So we know how to cook noodles. We know how to cook a Muslim dish. We know how to cook a European dish. So we grew up like that. But I never liked food as a child. I couldn't appreciate food until, I would say, Brian, until I started doing the healing on myself. I would only eat. Yes, I would only eat just to survive. I never liked food. It's like, yeah, I eat because I need to eat to just survive.
Right.
Because I was in that survival mode due to all the suppression of my emotions and of the trauma that I have kept inside of me. And when I started the healing 4 years ago, so through the hypnotherapy and all the different modalities, I did all these modalities to heal myself, but food was not my main concern. It was more to understand the different bullying patterns in my life. But then I noticed as I heal myself, wow, my appreciation of food changed. Yeah. I discovered things that I never liked as a child. And you would find this funny. Your audience would find this funny. I never liked peanut butter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like to this day.
I couldn't smell it. Even if somebody would open the jar, I couldn't smell it. But now I love peanut butter. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
So basically, you started healing yourself with these different modalities only 4 years ago. So up until that point, how is living with that kind of trauma affecting your life?
it has hugely impacted on my life, on my health, on my relationship with others, in my job, with the people around me, and how I felt in my body and how I felt about myself. So trauma had a huge impact on every area of my life, because I stored all these childhood emotions. I
Right.
suppressed them, you see. So it does impact your life in incredible ways that you would never think of, because we are not taught that expressing our emotions is very important. And one of the teachers I trained with, Marisa Peer, she used to say, our emotions are our truest feeling, or the truest thing about us that we have. It's the most important things about us. It's our feelings, and expressing them, I would say, is very important. And there is a saying, a quote in one of the hospitals in London that Marisa found when she went there. She said it's written, the feelings that cannot express themselves may cause the internal organs to weep. And there are so many other researchers like Dr. Gabor Mate, who says that that is very true. And he wrote books like The Body Keeps the Score. You have Dr. Bessel van der Kolk.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, his book is about When the Body Keeps the Score, another one. Yeah. So the body keeps the score, keep the emotions. And that is extremely important for us to learn how to express our emotions in healthy ways without hurting people around us. And very often we can't do it by ourselves if we had deep traumas, because I had sexual abuse, I had bullying at school, I had feeling of worthiness my whole life, deep grief that I never processed as a child when my grandmother passed away when I was 4. So, it was a lot of trauma for me to have kept that. I didn't know, Brian. And it was only during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, I knew I was in the UK here for a purpose. And it was more than just the teaching. And when the pandemic hit, I found the course I was looking for to help me. And I was searching for the right course, but I didn't want to go to uni again. University is a lot of theory. It's great, but it's a lot of theories, and theories does not help you to live your day-to-day life. And I say, I don't want that. I have been in academia myself for 15, 20 years, and I never understood myself because I was always dealing with theories, And I did a lot of research that were published in international journals on burnout and well-being. And I realized, yes, I was looking for myself in studying these topics, but I never understood myself until I did the hypnotherapy, where there is a lot of practice and helping us to go within our body. And that's when the healing happens, by being patient with myself, keeping working every day, Brian, on myself. You can't say that healing, you do it today and then you stop it. It is a consistent job, and you have to be determined and do it every day, no matter what. I was on the bus 2 days ago, and I had to get up early, so I couldn't do my meditation. I took my earphones and my mobile, and I did it on the bus. You see? So I don't
Compromise.
Yeah. So we have to keep on doing the work, because we are work in progress. As we heal, we discover new layers and we discover more of ourselves. So I can talk even more, but please do keep asking me questions.
No. I love this. I mean, honestly, I love hearing that, because explaining to everybody what you went through is huge, because I don't think people understand enough that there's sort of this box that we live in. and we don't understand sometimes that we have these patterns that, we do daily and weekly, and those become our routines. If you're holding on to things that are hurting you and they're swimming around your mind, they're kind of getting inside of your energy scape, those things are going to affect your daily habits. And eating is one of those daily habits that I think a lot of people don't understand has such a psychological relationship with you as the person, because most people can survive on anything these days because we are adapted in this 21st, the 21st century of how it works. And what I mean by that is that you could get up and just start intaking sugar and processed foods and carbohydrates, other forms of processed foods all day, every day. And it's probably not going to affect you too much until later on down the road because of that buildup of those things, because we've engineered a society of food that is supposed to act and look and smell and taste and be like food, but it's not really giving you any nutrient density. It's not giving you any sustainability. It's overloading you on things you don't need. And then it's not balanced in things you do need. And so I think it's really important the way that you put that we're constantly a work in progress. We are constantly working for progress, because even as a human being myself, I have to wake up every day and tell myself, I'm going to do these certain things, and hopefully that's how the outcome will play out. As well as I quit drinking 4 years ago. And so, 3.5, but almost 4. And I can understand where you're coming from in the sense of waking up every day and telling yourself, I am going to do what I set out to do. I'm going to keep on my healing process. And much like you just said with meditating on the bus to be able to get it in, I know what you mean, because I still, no matter what, will read daily affirmations or things that are from teachers or, mentors that are important to me and their words. And I do my own form of morning meditation every day to solidify that, I'm not going to drink today and this is how it's going to work, because setting the intention for the day is huge. And I think a lot of people kind of sidestep that because we're just a society of get up and go, start moving, don't really think about that headspace to kind of clear for the day. Because when I do this, I'm able to respond to conversation or action that's being, coming at me versus reacting to something or, something somebody said or somebody's doing something. I'm able to kind of breathe in a little bit better. So I just wanted to recognize and give you your proper flowers for just explaining to people what you've kind of been going through for most of your life. And that it wasn't until 4 years ago that you decided to dive as deep as you could into the therapy to start the healing again. And again, just to kind of piggyback on what I was saying earlier, food is one of those things that the relationship is kind of not very thought about unless you do put a lot of intention into what you do eat. So what I'm saying is just that there is that large percentage of people that don't realize that they're just kind of eating this and going to here and going to this bodega or this cafe or this, McDonald's or whatever every day. And it's set up for you to go outside and make those choices like, I always tell people it's how you vote with your dollar, because
Yes.
voting with your dollar or the pound, if in your sense, is very important to recognize, because you make the choices of what you eat and how you have that relationship. So nobody's perfect and nobody can be perfect and nobody's expected to be perfect, but you are given opportunity to make these choices to kind of build your day and sort
Mm.
of, track out how you're going to feel. So you can kind of just tell if people have already started their day with things that are unhealthy, because it's going to carry into the rest of the day, the rest of the week, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, as somebody who just kind of discovered having a new relationship with food over the last 4 years, what have you discovered the most to be like the most rewarding thing about having a relationship with food again?
Okay, thank you, Brian. That's a great question. What have I noticed with my relationship with food the past 4 years is like I I have always been very conscious with what I eat, like you mentioned before, people put everything, but I have always been very mindful what I eat. And these past 4 years, having worked on myself, I have a deeper appreciation of food and I know that the food that I am eating is helping to nourish my body, And because my body is the most precious, precious technology that there is, and I need to feed it with the right thing. And I need to look after it because without this body, Brian, you can't do anything. We are more than this body. We are spiritual being, but that's why we need to take care of that body, because even though we are a spiritual being, just being a spiritual being, we can't do anything. But that spirit, we are spirit in that body, and we have to look after that body because spirit can't do anything, but that body is enable us to talk, to hold things. So we need to look after that body. And that body, when we look after it, it will help us to do so many things more than we realize, because there is so much inside of that body. There is so much trauma that we hold, but when we heal that, we discover our talents. And I started to have a greater appreciation of the food that I eat. And I enjoy the food that I eat and that I cook. And I am so grateful for it. Before I was living in a survival mode and I was always under stress. And it's normal that I would just eat to survive. But when you are alive in your body, when you do the healing, the food that you eat as well will work better and it will function better in all your different organs because you are not in that fight and flight mode. You are in a relaxed mode and the food gets digested better and it does go and help those different organs and parts of the body where food needs to be directed, and not all the food goes to the feet and we have to run, because when we are in a fight and flight mode, when we are surviving like many people are at this time, with fear and with stress, all the food, all the energy goes to the feet because the mind recognizes that danger and it has to run away from danger. So the food doesn't help our body to stay energized. But when we healed ourselves, we are more at calm. We are more calm, we are more peaceful, we are more in control of our emotions. And the food give us that we eat energize us. We don't feel tired. So it's so important to heal ourselves. And I have seen so many of my clients, Brian, who come They suffer from various kind of trauma and they do not eat healthy. And they suffer from all sorts of illnesses because what we eat in our body is so important. And if you are under stress, the food that you eat won't go to the right places and it will create all sorts of illnesses. So that's why it's so important, not necessarily to diet all the time. You know, these diets that you see outside, they don't work. I have talked to people and they say, yeah, I did the dieting and it worked for 6 months and I put on more weight. But that's not the issue. It's the emotion that are suppressed inside that is causing the weight issue. Yes, a lot of people who are overweight have sexual traumas inside the body that they've hold on the pain that they've never expressed. Or you see other people suffering from anorexia, from bulimia. What happened is there is too much control outside of them, in their household, that they start to hurt themselves because they don't know how to express their emotions. So some people cut their hands, some people start to vomit. They try to control inside of them. So because they can't control what is outside of them. So all the issues with food is to do with going inside and heal those parts of you that have experienced trauma. And then you will have a deeper appreciation of food. And not only of food, of who you are, appreciating yourself and really enjoying food. It will make a huge difference and you will feel more alive in your body. I never felt so alive, Brian, that I felt these past 4 years. You know, I was like,
hell yeah.
Yeah, and you know that as well. You can tell the audience how you felt before and now that you've healed a lot of this pain and let go, you are like a new person. You are reborn again. Yeah.
No, that's very true. Because for those that don't know, you have collaborated with folks like Dr. John Gray, who is the renowned author of the best-selling book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. You've also co-authored a couple of other books such as Love and Coaching and Bare Naked and Beautiful, which I recommend to anybody to go check out because there's chapters that you go over as far as the best investment you'll ever make, or, you know, just things that you additionally expand on your other books that have chapters on personal development, holistic well-being, things for transformative journeys towards self-discovery and healing. So I think it's great what you're really doing for your entire community because you're able to break down these different chapters with people to kind of go over these things that are going to help heal them from head to toe. And it's not just anything to just throw out there lightly or, you know, put into context that if you read this book, everything is going to be completely solved. But the fact that you've done such hard work with, you know, such renowned authors and people of their field, it really shows your dedication to your practice and your work for clients all over the United States and the world and the UK, everywhere, because people all over are going to receive and resonate with that information. And I think it's extremely helpful what you're doing for people because you're totally right in the sense that there's a lot of people who hold on to different emotional trauma, whether it be A, B, or C type of trauma. That plays a role in your food. That plays a role in how you emotionally will either eat or not eat, or the direction that you eat, the food choices that you make, or like you were saying with other, you know, trauma, not eating at all. So it just gives me perspective on like how much the world needs to heal before they just make all these rash decisions and, go to the root of the problem. I was talking about this with somebody the other day where Dr. Lane Norton quotes a actor from Hollywood that states, if the house is on fire, just get out of the house. Don't worry about what started the fire. It's plain and simple, because until we find out what really started the fire, you can't even take care of the burnt house. You can't take care of everything if you've burned it to flames, but things can be reborn in the ash, so it's kind of just a metaphor for life itself of, if you're dealing with a problem, whether it be weight, emotions, trauma, et cetera, heal from that from the beginning and water those seeds before you go further onto any other journey, because it's going to have a rubber band effect on those other endeavors that you make in this world. So now transitioning into more of like the current state of what you're doing, and you're living in the UK. Explain to the audience what differences you notice the time that you've spent in the United States versus maybe the UK as far as their food systems go.
Okay. I've never been to the States, Brian. I would love to go someday. Not yet. But I've seen a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of documentaries about how people eat in the States is very different from how people eat in the UK. I think I've always seen on TV that in the US you have everything in big portions.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that, I guess, because from my understanding, I thought you had made just like small trips to the United States. But regardless, let's just reiterate that. In the UK, how does your food system work versus, like you said, what you've seen in movies? Because you just mentioned we have a lot of bigger portions. We have a lot of other things that may be different. So just to give everybody a better perspective, as opposed to kind of tennis matching all over the place. This episode is brought to you by MyFitFoods. Are you struggling to find healthy, delicious meals that fit your lifestyle? Do you live in Colorado? Well, look no further than MyFitFoods. At MyFitFoods, they believe that healthy eating should be convenient and flavorful. Their chefs prepare balanced, nutrient-rich meals that are ready to enjoy whenever you are. Whether you're looking to lose weight, build muscle, or simply maintain a healthy diet, they've got you covered. Imagine having a fridge full of tasty meals that are perfectly portioned and tailored to your nutritional goals. No more meal prep, no more guesswork. Just grab, heat, and eat. Look, I've got a busy lifestyle, whether it's podcasting, working my other jobs, or just maintaining my healthy lifestyle by working out 2 to 3 times a week. And MyFitFoods has got me covered. And they've got a special deal just for you. Healthy eating has never been this easy. So head over to myfitfoods.com and use the code MyFit40Den at checkout to get a whopping 40% off your first order. That's myfitfoods.com and use the promo code MYFIT40DEN at checkout for 40% off your first order. So why wait? Start your journey to a healthier you. Fuel your best and feel your best one meal at a time with MyFitFoods. You're in the UK. What is your food system on a day-to-day basis like that you notice that could be either sort of a sign of things being a little bit broken or that things are on the right track?
I think it's a lot of similarities to the States, I would say, because here as well, a lot of fast food nowadays, like everywhere else, the fast food industry has expanded. A lot of people eat a lot out nowadays, more than before. So, and a lot of unhealthy food that people eat as well here. So it's everywhere around the world, I would say, not only in the States, but it is everywhere with all the fast food industry. And this is a thing that I've noticed here, that people spend a lot of time eating out and they don't necessarily eat healthy food. So it is, and people as well are becoming more obese in the UK. And the UK government has started a program in schools encouraging children to eat more healthy and even encouraging the population to have more vegetables in our diet. So this is something that the government is concerned, because if we don't eat healthy, it will impact on our health and it will impact on the health system. And there will be more sick people going to the hospital, and it will put pressure on the doctors and the nurses. So this is something that is in the UK, but I think it's going to go all over the world as well. It's something that the world will experience if we are not careful. And we can't wait for the government to do things for us. You know, we are no more children.
No.
We are all adults. We have to take responsibility of our life and take responsibility of our body and look after our body, because we are the director of our life. We are the painter of our life. We decide.
Well said.
Yeah, we decide what we want, and we have the power to manifest everything that we want. Like I told you, coming to Nottingham to work in that university was my dream for a long time, and I manifested that. And I am so excited. I knew this would be the job I always wanted. And so I think it's very important for each one of us to love ourselves, because, you know, when we love ourselves, when we forgive ourselves for our mistakes, for the past, for the people that hurt us, then we have a different relationship with food, and we have a better relationship with our body, because we live with ourselves 24/7, Brian. You know, there is nobody that live with me 24/7 than myself.
Another golden nugget. That's a good one.
So love your body, take care of your body, because this is the most powerful tool, machine that you have been given, and it holds all the powers inside of you. So when you look after it, it will give you all the treasures that you've been seeking for in the external world. Because what you are looking for in the external world is inside of you. So I always say, this is a quote that I have.
Clap, clap, clap.
The treasures that you are seeking are within you. This is a quote that I came up with, because it is within us.
Yeah. No, that's a really beautiful quote, because, you know, I think a lot of people don't realize that there's these conversations that people get very emotionally tied or sort of emotionally triggered when it comes to food, because once you start talking about childhood obesity and that leading into adult years from a young adult choices, so like just the kind of process of growing up and making bad food decisions from day one, it gets people a little flustered. You know, it gets people kind of in an uptick. But, you know, over here in the States, there's just all of this freedom of choice to eat bad food all the time. It's unfortunate that there's this kind of stigma around healthy food being expensive, because that kind of deters people automatically away from even looking for it or looking for an option to make it more affordable. But people don't even blink or think about it when they spend X amount of dollars on fast food, on, you know, food that isn't great for them, just because they understand that there's like a dopamine hit or some sort of reward that they get for eating the donut or the, you know,
Yes.
the bad thing, the thing that they're not supposed to have, quote unquote. But what I try to explain to people is that there's a lot of information out there on social media and other blogs and platforms that are showing people now that you can actually still have your favorite foods, but make them. And when I say make them, I mean like make them yourself, as well as incorporate more protein rich, nutrient dense combinations to make these a more palatable, a more nutritious way to enjoy something, such as I saw a video the other day of a gentleman comparing like a chocolate chip ice cream cookie sandwich to if you took like a cinnamon flavored rice cake and you take two of those and then you take protein rich ice cream or some of the lower calorie, lower sugar ice cream, which people can argue all they want that like that's whatever, not real ice cream or it's this, that. But hey, I mean, if somebody's out there trying to make something that used to be viewed as this, you know, big treat to you can flip flop it or 180 it into you're cutting the calories in half at least, you're decreasing the sugar intake by a significant amount because using other things like monk fruit to sweeten the ice cream, making it, you know, a better glycemic response in your body. And then you're eating things like the rice cakes where there's that's not a cookie, that's not, you know, anything that is more than just a rice cake. So that's just a small example of like what I see, you know, people given the choice if that's out there, because I think there's been enough people where it just gets to a point where if you're trying to cut back on stuff, people get really dogmatic in the sense and militant where they're like, nope, you can't have this, or that. And so then you're like, well, what am I going to eat?
Mhm.
And so people get very frustrated in trying to follow anything that isn't what they're used to. And so they've even done studies on people who eat the same things consistently actually have like that's the best diet. That's the best diet you can do is if you can stick to something consistently, because you going all over the place and trying all these different fad diets is just not going to work for you.
Yeah.
I think people need to, I say this all the time, but it's just not something that I'm sure you notice in the UK as well, that nutritionists or doctors are influencing people to get their gut checked, get things that, you know, like real GI tests and actual functional nutritionists suggestion, you know, to helping solve these issues that people have in their gut. It's usually just a pill for everything and kind of go on your merry way, because there's not a lot of doctors that are just educated on the food system or how that works as a whole. There's not a lot of education on the gut microbiome or how everybody's is so different that you may need more plants or animal proteins or this, that, fats, carbs. You know, it'd be cool if there was like some sort of like blood test or some sort of test. I mean, I know there probably is, but I just don't know the name for it. But my friend Kate Crowell over here in Colorado, she's a functional nutritionist. Her handle on Instagram is what Kate ate. So it's like CAIT for Kate. But she's such a she's got such a spearhead in, the industry right now, and actually telling people to stop spending so much money on these really expensive food sensitivity tests and actually like get under the hood of your gut and find out like what really makes it tick, what really makes it upset or inflamed. And so everybody is so different that we just don't have that kind of time or, well, let me rephrase that. Everybody probably has the time in the world, but nobody has in society kind of instilled that this should be a normal thing that people spend time doing. But now I think there's a lot more recognized studies on it, and people are kind of waking up to the fact in this newer age of things that, hey, I don't feel good. I don't like the way that I feel. I don't like the way that I look. And it's not even like a, egotistical thing about the way you look. It's like, I don't like the way I feel / look. And that kind of goes inside with it, or goes, coincides with each other, because looking good and feeling good is kind of a figure eight of a process. So that's what I'm saying, is just that it's just sad that we have to go through all of this work just to find out what's good for us to eat, because eating is such a essential thing. And when you put it inside of this small little box, like, you have to eat. You can't just survive on sunlight and air. So, it's hard. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think that people are actually doing more work on dedicating themselves to finding that power and finding that answer within anybody. It's like you said, that power exists inside of you. That treasure.
I think you really well explained it, because how important it is to listen to the body, like what your friend is doing, Kate. And the more we tune into our body, the more we'll know what to eat. The body will tell us, what is right, what is the right food, and what is it that's not good for our body. And I will share with you a very interesting experience, a real one, with my niece. Since she was a baby, she was so mindful of the food that she would eat. I was so shocked, Brian. I had to learn that at a much later age. But she, as soon as she started 6 months, she started to say, no, this is what she doesn't want. This is what she wanted to eat. And until now, she's 11 years old. She knows what she needs to eat. She would never eat more than her body tells her. So she is so in tune with her body. And we all need to listen to our body, because we have been so bombarded, so distracted by the external world, by the media, by what other people say, what other people, what expectations from society, that we have forgotten ourselves. We forgot our body completely. We just live on autopilot. But we need to listen to our body. The body will tell us what is right for us to eat and what is it we shouldn't eat. So the best thing is, but when we are under stress, we can't listen. So it's important. Yeah. So we need to calm ourselves, heal ourselves, and go within. That's why doing any of these practices, relaxation, meditation, healing, or anything, will help you to understand yourself better and to nourish yourself with food that will nourish you, so that you can nourish other people with the love, with your time, with your energy, and you can give back to society.
It's a very, very beautiful sentiment. That's a very wonderful way to put things, because it sort of answered my next question of just what advice would you just give to people who are just starting out and on their journey and just trying to figure it out from the get-go. And I think you nailed it. I think you put it into a wonderful basket of words for people to unpack, because it's one thing to already have so much of your emotional self and your mind and your body and your soul all communicating together, and then finding these things that nourish you, or finding ways to support your local purveyors, butchers, farmers, dairy farmers, etc. But what you just said is so 100%, because you need to heal your mind and your actual physical body before you start digging into the deeper layers of how the inside is going to communicate with the outside, because the outside self and the mind are always having this mental gymnastics to the point where the mind will tell the body, okay, well, if we eat this, maybe emotionally we'll feel this way, or we'll transition into this feeling. But kind of like I said earlier, it's usually attached with a reward as opposed to an achievement, something that is a nourishing, sound and body decision. But this food is here to nourish and provide me with what I need, versus this is going to taste really good and I can't wait to just enjoy all of the things that society tells me I'm not supposed to, but I don't really care because I'm alive and going to do whatever I want. So you can just tell when people have been making those compound decisions over a long period of time, where they may even be sad or disconnected from, well, let's put it this way. They're disconnected from the choice and they don't understand why they're sad, but they continue to be depressed and feeling this anxiety, but it's just because they're eating food that's toxic for their body, or they're putting things in their body that are toxic for it. But there's just too many bad things that give you such a good reward, like a dopamine hit, or, some sort of recepting factor that, you're going to feel some sort of high or some sort of something off of. And I've noticed that even with my own food journey of going through points where all I was eating was processed junk and just eating to please my brain, and pleasure was just, that was it. Just food and, just hit. So I get it, because now I'm just trying to find more of the process of like the work, as far as like putting in the energy and the time to go get things that are so good for me and so up on the higher tier, that there's the other side of the reward where you're like, oh, wow, like I just sourced this beautiful piece of meat and these vegetables and this raw milk, and I'm making my own sourdough, and I'm having all this relationship with my food, versus just give me that because it's covered in cheese and, it's got all the fried goodness about it, yada, yada, yada.
Yes. And you made a very beautiful point when you said there is always that battle, between the logic and the heart. And Blaise Pascal said, a very famous philosopher, he said, when there is that battle between the logic and the heart always wins. So it's important that we listen to our heart, because what we feel in the heart space is always right, And Rumi, very well-known Persian philosopher and poet. Have you heard of him?
Of course.
Yeah. And he said that the very center of your heart is where life begins. It's the most beautiful place on
beautiful.
earth.
No, that's a beautiful thing to carry on your life with, you know?
Yes.
So, what are some of your favorite foods that you make during your day-to-day practices to keep that relationship strong now that you have a better relationship with food itself?
Yes, that's a great question, Brian. I eat more variety. I bring in more colors to my food. I am vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for a long time, but I don't mean that everybody should go vegetarian because everybody's body, our metabolic system is different. So we need to listen.
Nailed it. Exactly. Because like as I was saying earlier, is that there's everybody has a different thumbprint for what they're going to, be in this world, but there's just no like scanning process that we do at the doctors to be like, okay, now here's a list of like what you got to eat. Because like I was saying earlier, a lot of these food sensitivity tests just show off reading marks where people eliminate things that they honestly could be eating, but it's just in different quantities. But that's a different day, different story, but please continue.
Thank you. So for me, that works for me. What I eat at lunch, I will not eat again in the evening. I'll prepare something different because that gives me more motivation to eat. That makes me more happy, So
you eat twice a day?
Yes, I eat twice a day, lunch and dinner, but my body is like that. I have to eat regular meals. So I will have my breakfast and then I will have lunch, but in small, moderate quantities that is good for my body. And I will eat natural yogurt. Greek yogurt is really good for the gut. So I eat that in the morning. And I eat organic. I like to have organic food. So I get some organic oats. And then at lunch, I cook my own lunch, or sometimes it's leftover food that I cook overnight. And then at 3 o'clock, I will have something for tea. I don't drink tea, but I've eliminated tea. Once in a while, I will treat myself. I won't deprive my body. If my body wants something, I would still give it once a week.
Sure.
So, but every day I will have some cheese. I love cheese. So this is something that I cannot stop. I love having cheese. And yes, I will eat 4 meals, but moderately, with a lot of moderation. And once a week, I would treat myself to a food that I like outside, to a cake, to... Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to treat yourself to something. You can't deprive your body. So,
what are your cake and like what are some of your other favorite treats?
My favorite treat is I like to have a scone once a week, and sit down at a coffee, have a hot chocolate, or I would have a croissant and have a hot chocolate, and sometime I would have a meal. And my favorite food, it's funny, I like to eat risotto, which is one dish that I love, but I
love risotto. My dad and my brother-in-law can make very, very good risotto. Wow. My brother-in-law taught my dad how to make the perfect risotto when they were in Italy.
Right. Yeah. You have to know how to make that because some places they can make very watery risotto,
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's the guy that like taught them, the chef out. He would actually like from a long distance be able to like rotate the rice from pot to plate and pot to like when he was stirring it. My dad said it was just like watching like a show, like watching a performance.
Yeah.
But,
that's beautiful. Yeah. So I like
love risotto. It's great.
And here in some places they have special vegetarian tart. So it's made with green peppers, red peppers, goat cheese. Oh, I love that. And it really melts when you eat it. So I would have that occasionally as well. So these are some of my dishes, but I like to make my own food every day or every
Right.
2 days. I like to cook, and I don't bake that often anymore, but I like to cook every day, try something different. And yeah, that fits with my body. So I do that. Yes.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I love that you said you bring a lot of color into
Yes.
everything. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day about the rainbow diet. The eating every color of the rainbow is very important because there's usually something on each color spectrum of the rainbow that you can enjoy and will be good for you and is a whole food. My uncle always says to just shop on the outside of the grocery store because everything on the inside aisles is all the processed food and sugary and over processed carbohydrates, like all that stuff. So all the whole food and all the good food is going to be always on the outside of edges of the grocery stores.
Right. Okay. I'll pay attention to that because I don't even look at processed food. I just go what I
No, I
know.
know. No, I understand.
Yeah.
It's just that like the
Yeah.
mapping I think they do
Yes.
to have people's brains do a
Absolutely.
certain way of shopping. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a social experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you always just think about that, because even though if you're not looking for processed foods, it's just they're always going to be on those inside aisles.
That's true. That's true. I've noticed the sweets, the chocolates, they are close to the cashier, to the teller,
Uh huh.
so
Yeah,
that
because it's
people
all
can grab.
impulse. It's all impulse. Yeah. It's impulse buying. It's all things that marketing people are just putting there to, make you be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just get this now.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, thank you so much for joining me today. It truly has been a pleasure just talking to you about the healing process of the body, your journey in general, your relationship that you didn't have with food, and then how that started to become a journey within itself. Now you've planted those seeds to grow into this flourishing relationship that you have with food. And I personally learned a lot today, and I'm guessing that the audience did as well. So thank you again so much for coming on today and just sharing with me your journey. I'd love to have more conversations with you in the future about this kind of stuff and just keep in contact with you about all of this, just keep this relationship growing and I was so thankful to come on your podcast as well and share my story. So where can people find you as far as social media or, contacts go?
Yes. Thank you, Brian. It's been an immense pleasure talking to you. I had you for my podcast and I really enjoy listening to your story and what you shared. And thank you for this invitation today. And it's been really, really a pleasure to talk to your audience too. And I learned a lot from you too, Brian, today. So it's
Yes.
it's a mutual thing. We learn from each other and it's always about learning and growing. And people can find me. So I am on Instagram. So they can find me at Rani, Rani. My family name is Thanacoody, Thanacoody. It's one word together. Also, I am on YouTube, so they can find me on YouTube. My channel is called Amazing You, Dr. Rani Thanacoody. So they can follow me. They will see your YouTube video very soon that will be aired. And they can find me on my websites. So my websites are https:// Rani, Rani, Thanacoody, Thanacoody.com. On my other website, which is https:// So they can reach me on my mousevenuscoach.Rani.com. They will find about the book, Love and Coaching. They can book for a free 30 minutes appointment, a free discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also find the webinars that I do from time to time. So I will post on there. They can also get supplements if they want. I am part of a company. I am a partner with Juice Plus, where they provide supplements, organic supplements, so they can find that as well. So if they look at my websites, they will find what they will need. And I am really looking forward to talking to you again, Brian. It's been really wonderful talking to you and your audience. So thank you for this opportunity. And I wish the audience to keep listening to your podcast. And I wish you, Brian, a lot of success in everything that you do, and keep shining your light. And we need you. You are here for a purpose, to help so many millions of people who need help at this time. So thank you for what you are doing.
Thank you. That's such a sweet thing to say. I appreciate that a lot. I mean, having these conversations is important to me, and I'm just going to continue to, let that grow and see where this takes me. And just super, super honored to be here and honored to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for joining me today on our flavorful journey here at Clean Plates. If you enjoyed our exploration into the world of food and the stories behind our eating habits, be sure to subscribe where you get your podcasts. And don't forget to share your own food stories on my personal page at Brian Waterleaf or the Clean Plates podcast page on Instagram. And remember, every plate has a story, and we are here to discover them together. So stay curious, keep exploring, and continue to nurture your relationship with food. I'm Brian Romaine, and until next time, keep your plates clean and your hearts